Hello, welcome everybody once again to another live demo of the offline environment. And today we're going to be looking at license compliance. Olivier, please take it away.
Thanks, Todd. So looking at the scorecard, what we need to go through today is some of the remaining steps. We're at 4 in the previous demo. So we had some import issues to be investigated, but again, this is specific to our offline instance, and we still haven't looked at this. So we'll be still using the fork workaround for our testing. License compliance showing not configured into the configuration page, which was an issue fixed into 12.9. So we've now upgraded the offline instance from 12.8 to 12.9. So this will be demonstrated today as fixed. And thank you again, Mo, for doing the upgrade. And we also had to show that we have completed all the different languages that we want to support for this MVC before getting applied on the step 4. As a reminder, we had some documentation missing for Maven support and also for Python with pipenv. So, and sorry, the last one we didn't check last time was Python with pip. So I will go ahead and set up a Python pip project to demonstrate that this is working with this one now. So again, in the context of Python, we need to have a custom PyP registry serving the libraries, the dependencies within the internal network. And we have specific, so we have a dedicated host that has a PyP server storing our custom dependencies here, custom packages here, as you can see. And we have specific egress rules to the from the offline GitLab instance to be able to reach it. But again, it's only on the internal network. So I will just take this sample project. I will need to create a new dedicated group for today. We're at 20. It's for LC. Okay, so I will, oops, fork that one. And the relationship to avoid pushing merge requests, sorry, use a template project by default. All right, so I now have my Python pip project here. So this is a custom setup so that if you are using it, you will specify to build the application, specify that this needs to reach out this custom index URL. And this trusted host declaration here is a workaround to disable the SSL check, but we won't override that one. This was part of the previous workaround we were using, but it requires to override the job definition with the default script, which is not the favored way to do that. So this won't be used today, actually. I will open the web IDE, go back to the script to use the documentation that we have in place now for license compliance. So as you can see here, it's been aligned with all the other offline documentation for the other security features, explaining what are the requirements, how to move your required Docker images into your offline instance so that it's available for the CI jobs to pick them up. So I'll go straight to how to set the license compliance CI job, because the Docker images have been already put inside the offline instance into that namespace, which is analyzer/license management. And as you can see, we have 2 images here, which are mapping our GitLab major minor version. So this is the one I will be using today. So I will just copy paste this snippet to override my job definition in my CIML file here. So it's including the default vendor template, overriding the job so that it's specified to use this particular image. I can also leverage the existing CI underscore registry Docker registry environment variable which will basically replace that with the host name, the domain name, so that I can fetch directly the images I want. Okay, the other settings we need to set here I explain into some additional config here. We have to set up some certificate additions so that when the license compliance tool will try to reach out to download the fetch the dependencies to get the licenses, it will need to authenticate with this custom IP registry, and it's using custom certificates. So we need to provide ways to validate their that they are authoritative certificates. So we need to provide this environment variable. So I will go ahead and use that into the CI/CD settings. And I will take the value that comes from the snippet, which is matching our custom PyP server. Again, this is not custom certificates for the GitLab instance itself. It's for the PyP registry we're trying to contact to fetch the dependencies. We also have additional setup. So I'll just go back to the documentation. I don't need to follow all those steps because this is the alternative options to bypass the TLS verification, which again was leveraging this before script to copy the pip.com file. But it's a choice. Either you set up the certificate or you bypass the TLS verification. One thing that we have not yet documented, if I go back to the documentation about configuring it, is we specify that we might need additional configuration if you're using private Maven repositories. We should add a similar line for Python, and actually might go into a more generic approach because this might be necessary for every languages. So we might revisit a bit how we are doing the documentation right now, but we need similar settings for Python. In the case of Python, what we have documented already into the available variable is the pip index URL here would tell the pip tools where to go fetch the different dependencies. So I need to add this variable here. This is the most unclear part of our documentation today because it's not explicitly stated into the offline configuration. So we might need to reorganize that to cross-link between the different sections. So the pip index URL again is the one that we have set up here, but oops, sorry, I'll just copy paste that. And again, if I click here, I'll go to this custom PyP host where we're hosting the packages. So with that, I should be good. So I will submit this as a merge request. And again, I forgot to add this check air gap job that we all know works, but still for the purposes of validating things correctly, let's add it. We'll cancel that one. And look at the new one, which now I have two jobs. Yep, here it is. So the license scanning job is fetching the custom Docker image from the custom registry we have here, the 12.9 stable Docker image. And we'll execute within maybe 5 minutes or something like that. And the get check job, which is just issuing wget command on the registry.gitlab.com to make sure that the CI job cannot fetch the public registry. Okay, so as you can see, it's successful. You cannot reach out to this public.com, gitlab.com registry. Closing that and going back to the license scanning job.
While we're waiting for that, can you show the CI YAML, the current state of the YAML file right now? I just wanted to see. Okay, so all we had to do was specify override the image and provide the pip variable because we're doing a pip.
Yeah. And this requires today to override the job, which is something we want to avoid. So we might soon replace that with a more generic variable, so you can just override the variables directly without.
Yeah. I think that's a good next step, definitely. But I just wanted to understand the two changes you made. I think I got it. Okay, thanks.
Just also, I didn't show that, but this has been mentioned in the dependency scanning last demo. We have updated the architecture of our offline environment, and this is now described in the snippet available at the top of the document. Thank you all for putting that together. So we actually have extracted the runners outside of the main GitLab host. So we now have the runners running on a dedicated host, which makes it way easier to manage some storage scaling issues, and it's also required to open some new rules into our internal traffic so that the runner can reach out to the GitLab host to fetch the Docker images from there, because the registry is still hosted on this main instance, and obviously the runner instance doesn't have access to the outside world. It can only fetch directly the images from the GitLab registry of this GitLab offline instance, and also it can reach out to our internal custom registry for packages. Like here, it's showing the pipey one, but it's the same for the npm package registry that we have into our host. This is a kind of temporary offline environment. We might move further and define if we need to persist that for a longer term, in which case we will document that further. So this is still running. All right, so should not be longer. It has not detected that this is a pip project. So License Finder is the underlying tool we are leveraging for this analysis. Okay, so it now has completed the analysis, doing some after script that will be removed soon because it's just due to some renaming of the previous job name and artifact name. It's succeeded. I can go back to the pipeline view and it should fill the licenses tab. So as you can see here, we now have the available licenses that we can allow or deny, get some more information, the list of packages that are using the specific license, and go to some outside links for more information. Again, these external links may or may not be available depending on how the host you are using is configured within this your company's network. I will go back to the merge request view to see the merge request widget showing the same information. So I can expand that here and have the same information available. I will go ahead and merge that into the master branch so that you can see that now it will show that it's configured. So this is a bug we had in 12.8 that has been fixed in 12.9. As soon as you have a license scanning job or a license management job running on the default branch, it will be spotted here and it will show that the feature is configured. So as you can see, it's pointing to the pipeline on the master branch with the license scanning job. And the license compliance page is still empty because the job has not yet completed on that default branch. So we'll have to wait a bit. In the meantime, we can go back to the documentation issue that we had. So I think that we can grade Maven because we now have the full documentation for Maven. Let me go back to this. Additional config for Maven. Yes, but I'll go back to the offline environment. So as a generic documentation, I think we can all agree that it has not been updated. Every typo has been fixed there. We had a previous merge request, I think that was linked. Yeah, we had an ongoing fix about some typos, which has been merged and is already available. Yeah, which was about overriding not the full image, but just the name. So let me just.
And if you look in chat, there's a new MR that just got submitted to cover the repositories, custom repositories.
Thank you. Where is the chat? It's here. Yeah, thank you, Mo. So this was to clarify what I was stating at the beginning, which is you also need additional configuration for Python on top of Maven. And yeah, so for Maven, this is telling you what you need to do to have Maven running currently in an offline environment.
Wait, sorry, is that, so the using private Maven repos, does that apply just to offline or does it apply to both?
No, it's generic. And this is the issue that we have with offline setup is it's actually embedding a lot of different other situations, and that implies this configuration. But this can work for any other setup where you're using a custom private Maven repo.
Gotcha.
Maybe it should rename private because it might be a public, but a different one than the official one. So it can be both. Maybe we should do custom or I don't
alternate?
know, personal, alternate. Might find a better wording, but it can be public or private. And obviously, if it's private, it needs more setup. So here we have another link to look to private, how to set up private Maven repository, because you need to pass some username and passwords, and we have a way to set that up.
Okay, thanks.
So would that be a 5 for Maven? Cool.
Yeah, sure.
For Python peep-how, we had the same thing. It just needed some documentation. So Python with pip and Python with peep-how now have the exact same setup. So there is nothing specific except configuring where to fetch the dependencies by specifying where is your custom PyP registry. This is what the ongoing merge request is doing. Oh, I closed that, but this is adding a similar note here. Where is it? Yeah, here. So we will adding just a similar note. So if you think this is what prevents us to get a 5, let's wait for the merge request to be merged. Or if you consider that customer already have everything they need to consider to set this up, this could be a 5 too. I say it also depends on how they are configuring things. If they already have configured their offline, their private registry, they should already have went through the available variable to see how to do that. But if they are starting right from the offline documentation, it might not be as obvious. So.
Yeah, so just to be clear, that variable is independent of offline, right? That's for anybody that's using a custom repository, regardless of online versus offline.
Yeah.
But do we include the link?
We don't yet. So this is what the new merge request is doing.
That's the merge request that you're just talking about. Yeah, because I think that would be helpful, since that's basically required for offline, but since it's not specific to offline, I think just providing a link is the best method, like we did for Maven. It would be basically the same as what we did for Maven, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make sense to customers, and I think they would be able to follow that.
Cool. So 4 and 5 when we merge that. And
Yeah,
Python
4.5.
pip. So going back to Python pip, the pipeline on master branch has now completed. So looking at the license complaints page, it show all the licenses that have been reported there. You can see the components. It's also showing some of the policies, but none have been set up yet. And this is linking to, again, the XML links available, which should complete. Show the dashboard is not relevant. This is not, sorry, some copy pasting happening here, but there is no dashboard for license complaints yet. It's the license list or the license complaints page that I was just showing up here. So the license pip documentation is ending up in the same bucket as the license pip, the Python pip on one. So again, 4 and waiting for the merge request to be merged to get a 5.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Cool. So, yeah, okay. Thanks, Nicole. That's it. We have 8 minutes left. If you want to discuss something else, or maybe you want to go back to dependency scanning because you were not there last week. I don't know if you had time.
Yeah, sorry, I was off on Friday. And then I also had, well, maybe this is an offline thing, but I had a question about the scope of tomorrow's thing. But that can be off. If anybody who knows about that can answer the question at the end of the recording is fine too.
Yeah, we can, if we're wrapped up, I can stop the recording and then we can, field questions around that.
Yeah, sure. That would work.
Cool.
Okay.
So just showing the chart.
Oh yeah, gotta show that, right.
Okay. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Thanks, Olivier. I'm going to stop the recording now.